Welcome back to another naval news video. I would like to thank Established Titles for sponsoring today's video. So while we were all distracted with the events going on in Ukraine and around the world, Iran decided that it wanted to attack a civilian oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman on the 15th of November. And it did. At 10 p.m. at night, local time, a UAV drone crashed into this ship here, causing little damage, no casualties, and no leaking of the oil into the water. We're not sure exactly where it hit. Likely the superstructure, because we have precedents for Iran doing this to other tankers, and in those cases killing people. But the United States Navy and the UK Royal Navy was in the area and responded right away. The USS Sullivan's is our Arleigh Burke that was on scene shortly, followed by the HMS Lancaster, which is a very nice ship. A P-8 Poseidon was in the vicinity and flying overhead, making contact with the ship, seeing what kind of assistance we could provide. And USS Chinook, a rather small gunboat that is in the American Navy over there, was on scene as well. And here you can see the drone built by Iran that was used in the attack is a 136 style drone. These are relatively new. They came on the scene in 2021. They're very low cost, one way, inexpensive, low speed, very loud, and has a 36 kilogram warhead that's just designed to, wreak havoc. And if we go back to 2001, we see that this style of attack happened before with the Mercer Street, where 2 sailors were killed in international waters from a drone attack originating in Iran. And if we go all the way back to 2019, we can see here Iran is shooting down American UAVs in international airspace over international waters in the Gulf of Oman. They're going into the Straits of Hormuz. So they have this pattern. Iran has this pattern for many years now, starting with drones, going into shipping attacks, and in one case killing 2 sailors, and just this week attacking another civilian oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman, very near the Straits of Hormuz. And if we don't do something about this, if somebody doesn't push back on Iran, I see this continuing, and the lethality may increase because they're emboldened of the lack of response, essentially, of them shooting down drones and killing sailors on oil tankers off their coast. It's a little ridiculous for me to even have to talk about this, but why isn't anybody doing anything? If we look at what the United States Navy is doing, we're all over the world right now, and we're very busy taking care of business, including here in this region as well. But what I want you guys to let me know in the comments is who can step up besides the United States and take care of Iran, put them back in their place, at least keep them from killing people in international waters off their shores. So while you think about that answer and putting it in the comments, let's turn over the stream to our sponsor, and there's a word from them. Thank you to Established Titles for sponsoring this video. Established Titles is a fun and novel way to preserve natural woodlands of Scotland, as well as support a global reforestation effort. Through Established Titles, you can purchase symbolic souvenir plots of land for yourself or as a great gift. This project is based on historic Scottish tradition where landowners are referred to as lords and ladies. You can officially include the title of lord or lady on credit cards, plane tickets, and dating profiles. And having that title on your dating profile is a great way to break the ice on your first date. Each title pack gives you at least 1 square foot of land with a unique plot number on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, and an official certificate with a crest. Established Titles works with global charities like One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future to plant a tree with every order. The first 200 people purchasing a title pack with my link will effectively be next to my plot. It's within walking distance. We can start a subbrief kingdom. It makes an amazing last-minute gift.
Apparently, if you own in Scotland, why'd you do that? You're right.
Established Titles is running a massive Black Friday sale right now. Plus, if you use my code SUB, you get an additional 10% off. So go to establishedtitles.com/sub and get your gifts now and help support the channel. And welcome back. Russia has a brand new submarine in its fleet, and it's pretty exciting because this is the Kilo 636.3, version 3, if you will, of the Kilo. It's a very capable, conventionally powered diesel boat, but this has all the bells and whistles, all the new technology coming out of the Admiralty shipyard. She was commissioned into the Navy on 16 November, just a couple days ago, and she is one of 6. I believe she's number 3 in the class, either 2 or 3 of 6 being built for the Russian Navy. All 6 of these are earmarked for the Pacific Fleet. So we expect her to be making the transit across the top of Russia probably next year, next summertime. But with the loss of assets in the Black Sea Fleet, we could see after that conflict is over and Turkey opens up the straits again, we may see her or some of these one of 6 maybe repositioned into the Black Sea Fleet. We will see how many Russian ports are in the Black Sea after this war is ended. So here's another great picture of her. She's called the Ufa, and she's tied up in St. Petersburg, Russia right now, where she will do some more testing before being deployed. She was some interesting facts about her is that she was laid down in August 2021. So in just over a year, we'll round up and say 18 months, they were able to build this submarine. And keep in mind, 6 to 9 of those months actually were under severe sanctions. So despite the sanctions that are clearly hampering Russia right now, they're still able to build these submarines rapidly. This one took just over a year, like I said, to complete. And she has all the new systems. The new stealth coating is on her. You can literally see it right there. She has quieting on the inside. Everything is, raft mounted. That's really not new technology, but they continue to improve it. She can launch the Caliber cruise missile, do land strikes from submerged positions. And she has improved endurance with her energy storage capability. So really a very good submarine. The Kilo class has been the benchmark for conventional submarines throughout the 20th century. Maybe recently passed by some new technologies coming out of Japan, but the Kilo is an absolute staple of the Russian Navy, and they export the Kilo to other nations as well. Very, very popular submarine. So, as we see the Russians kind of floundering around in Ukraine, whether it's the army, especially with their logistics, and the Air Force, whenever they decide to show up, they just get shot down, which is why they stop playing in Ukraine. The Russian Navy is a little different, specifically the submarine Navy. We see them continue to be supplied, well-trained, and they're deploying at regular rates, apparently unaffected by the demand in Ukraine for logistics and other things. Now, we have seen the Russian surface Navy in the Black Sea Fleet not perform well, and that's almost not even surprising anymore, to be honest with you, now that we look at the facts behind the incidents behind the Moskva and the frigate that was attacked recently. But the submarine fleet is a whole nother ballgame. And while they share the same country and ideology and doctrine, the training, the performance, the support that the submarine force gets is above what other branches appear to get there. In so much they can at least stay on schedule whenever they're building new things here. So we're going to shift gears away from the Russian submarine fleet that seems to be doing well, and let's take a quick look at the Institute Study for Wars report on Ukraine as of this week. I know a lot of other YouTubers use this source, and so we're going to bring up the maps here for you as well. So we're able to monitor or somehow gather, let's just leave it very general. We can listen to the communications of the Russian chains of command orders, whether it's via radio or whatnot. And what we have found is that the Russian commanders now, as of November 15th, are ignoring offensive operational orders. Maybe not exactly defying the orders, but not executing orders exactly as the doctrine is intended. And this is causing problems up and down the very long front that is there on the Eastern Front. Ukraine. Ukraine forces are targeting rear supply depots. That's not new. They've been doing that with HIMARS for a long time and long-range artillery. But they're also targeting assembly areas too. So whether it's equipment or weapon storage, those are being destroyed regularly. Russian has been recently performing what appear to be human wave style attacks a la World War I in 3 areas. You can see the green circles there, from Bakhmut to Advika, if I'm saying that name right, and a Ukraine city in the south called Voldar. At least in those 3 cities, we're seeing massive numbers of troops being supported by infantry fighting vehicles and behind them tanks, just moving forward and being cut down by the Ukrainian defenders. The casualty count on this battlefront is extremely high. We're going to quote an American general here in a little bit, but it is grotesque how much carnage is happening along this front right now. It really harkens back to early World War I and World War II human wave tactics. Interestingly, the Ukrainians have found some Belarusian equipment, whether it's in vehicles or just in weapon systems, are being used by Russians now. So that is implying that perhaps Russia is running low on certain things, vehicles and weapons, and they're having to go to their friends like the Belarusians to fill those logistical gaps. That's not surprising. That's been reported a lot, but that continues to happen here along the front even this week. And something that is new, and we're going to keep an eye on here, at least on this channel, is the Russian population or populace are increasingly finding other means or finding ways of getting onto social media that's been blocked in Russia and complain about the mobilization. So they're really not complaining about the war yet or even the loss of life, but they're complaining about being mobilized and forced to fight this war, the special operation down in Ukraine. So we'll see how that goes, because real change in Russia is going to come from the people from the ground up. And maybe this is the beginning of seeing that. We will see. Now let's get to the American Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman. Boy, try saying that fast. He says the military victory is probably, in the true sense of the word military victory, may not be achievable through military means in Ukraine. Therefore, you need to turn to other means. General Mark A. Milley said on November 16th to reporters in the Pentagon press brief. And he's not wrong. Right now, Russia's kind of on their back foot. They're going into winter where they're going to have, presumably less activity because it's going to be cold. And until the ground freezes, which will happen in January and February, there may not be an opportunity between now and then for any kind of large attack once the current attacks have petered out and winter really sets in. We're talking like late December. There's going to be a period there where there may not be much fighting. We will see what actually happens. And that may open up a window for diplomacy to actually have a chance to settle things. And I really believe that's what the general here is referring to. But he kind of contradicted himself by continuing to speak, and I'm going to quote him specifically here. He says, the Russian military is suffering tremendously. Okay, that's consistent. The leadership is really hurting bad. They've lost a lot of casualties, killed and wounded. They've lost, and I won't go over the exact number because it's classified, but they've lost a tremendous amount of their tanks and their infantry fighting vehicles. They've lost a lot of their 4th and 5th generation fighters, helicopters, and so forth. Russian military is really hurting bad. So you want to negotiate with them when you're at your strength and your opponent is at weakness. And it's possible maybe that there'll be a political solution, unquote. General Milley, Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman. And I think he's right. If there's going to be a diplomatic solution to the Ukraine war, we have an opportunity here this winter to do it, especially whenever the fighting begins to subside and right before the ground freezes. There's a window in there that people can take advantage of that time. And we will see if diplomats do that. Are they honestly going to negotiate a peace between the Kremlin and Ukraine or not? Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great weekend.